This is Governor Larry Hogan, and I don't always have time to listen to podcasts, but I do enjoy listening to the Maryland Crabs podcast.
Live from a grungy kitchen table located in Annapolis, Maryland's scenic and historic capital, it's the Maryland Crabs podcast. With each episode, your hosts, Tim Hamilton, John Frenay, and the occasional guest will dive in and pick apart the stuff that really matters most to you. We're too lazy to actually solve any of these problems, but we can definitely stir the pot. From schools, politics, parking in the fire lane, to those horrible people who drive BMWs. And here with this week's episode, live from the kitchen table, Tim Hamilton and John Frenay.
Hey, welcome back to the Maryland Crabs. It's Thursday. It's noon. That means it's time for us.
And we're doing this live.
What?
You said it's Thursday and it's noon.
Hey, our last episode with Stuart Pittman was a very popular episode. It's good to hear what the county executive has to say. And we got a little bit of a news drop right after that went with the ICE pulling out of the program to house the detainees up at Ordnance Road in Glen Burnie.
Yes, that did hit right after you interviewed him, which was convenient for us.
Yeah, we didn't know that was going to happen. And it was kind of funny with Pittman, who had said that, oh, yeah, no, they're not going to retaliate. Why would they pull out and everything else? And I'm like, why wouldn't they? You're looking to give the people they're holding in jail legal assistance.
And that irritates them. They're not big fans of that.
No. I mean, you know, and that's pretty much what they said in the letter that was coming out of out of ICE saying, you know, you're working against what our mission is. So I don't understand why he's so surprised that they pulled it.
Well, I mean, I think he didn't make any secret of this. I mean, I think this was inevitable the way it was going to end up. I think that was it part of his campaign.
Well, he said he was going to end both of the programs, and then he sort of flip flopped and said he wants to keep the one where we house the detainees, where we got the income. He said the facilities were much better than anywhere else in the country, and it was a humanitarian thing to give them a better place than to be the one in Salisbury, Baltimore, down on the border.
Our jails are the envy of all detainees across the country. Like when you're looking to be detained, you want to be detained here in Anne Arundel County.
Apparently.
The brochure is very specific about the amenities that we have. The tennis, the macrame classes.
But it's kind of funny. It'll be interesting to see how the county executive wades through his first term, because I was surprised that he hasn't made any changes, aside from the fire chief. He's asked a couple people to slide out of acting positions and put some people in, but it really hasn't made any wholesome changes, which I thought was kind of interesting.
Well, you talked to him about that. I mean, it's just you have people who are in place, these deep state people, so to speak. But they're people who just do their jobs, regardless of party, regardless of political philosophy.
I've always said to everybody that's been elected, whether it be, mayor or county executive or whatever, but I mean, your predecessor didn't hire people to be slackers. I mean, they may not be the best person for you, but just because they were hired by your predecessor doesn't mean that they're bad people or not doing their
but
jobs.
Also there's a lot of political payback in some cases, not all cases. There's like if you're looking at fire and police, and you need someone who's the best person for the job because that reflects upon you as an elected official. But there are some appointed positions that are kind of in there that no one knows what they do really, that they're kind of rewards. I mean, we all know that. Let's not be children.
That's true.
Children.
Well, I've also talked to several department directors and whatnot, and they're upset because there hasn't been really any direction. He hasn't given any, hey, I really like what you're doing. I'd like to keep you on. And they're kind of in this limbo.
Is that normal though?
I think so. He has not had, and he said that in the meeting, he has not had a full blown cabinet meeting. He's going out individually, but I've talked to 4 department directors that are all like, yeah, I don't know whether I'm staying or not. I'd like to, but I just don't know.
Is it generally when you come in, is there kind of that confirmation where someone's elected and they said, okay, you're good?
I would hope that would be the way it works. I don't know. I've never been an appointed position.
Not yet.
Yeah, not never.
No.
Not never. Hey, got a really deep episode with crappy sound.
There was a lot of coffees being made in the background there.
You don't realize how loud a coffee shop is until you go try to record in it. I mean, it's like, I swear they were beating up people in the back. And
yeah, we're a shoestring operation. Let's admit that. So oftentimes you got to meet people in places that is convenient to them, or we have to improvise. And we've had some where we've had great content matter, and just editing, you're pulling your hair out because you got to make the sound work. and you do the best you can. So we did the best we can. So every once in a while, you're going to have one that's great. You're going to have to work a little bit to listen to it, but it's worth it in the end. But you're going to hear a lot of frappuccinos being made.
Well, this one is really kind of interesting. I picked up on this when I saw an article or a letter to the editor in the Capitol. And it was from this gentleman named Omarion White, who was arrested and charged with attempted first-degree murder.
That's a bad one.
Yeah, I mean, this isn't running the stop sign.
Yeah, that's opposed to the other murders he could be.
So he was jailed and he went to court. And ultimately, the judge found him not guilty. And she actually apologized to him and said, they had nothing here to do this. And this, coming just short of saying it was a travesty of justice is how the judge sort of left it with him. Now, here's a guy with a very unusual name who was arrested for first-degree murder, found not guilty, but of course, the follow-up to the story in any newspaper is going to be on page Z512 as opposed to A1. But his letter to the editor of the Capitol said that he wanted the Capitol to turn around and other newspapers, when somebody is arrested, to put a disclaimer at the bottom saying that, just remember, all parties are innocent until proven guilty. They have not been tried. They have just been arrested and detained. And
they say that at the beginning of Cops too, but they're usually guilty.
Yeah, that's true. And I think that it makes a lot of sense. That's some policy that I'm going to try to implement with what we have on I in Annapolis. But I wanted to talk to him and find out what he is. Now, this guy had his life ahead of him. And I mean, I'm not talking about just, okay, here's a kid that's, graduated high school and he's going to go work at the mall or he's going to go do something. This guy was a number 2 ranked cornerback. Right. In the nation, playing at St. Mary's High School, had a really legitimate shot at the NFL. Now, I'm not, we all know how hard it is to get into professional sports.
Well, but also if you're the number 2 ranked cornerback in the nation at St. Mary's, which is not a powerhouse of a football program, no, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. And he had the eyes of many people, and unfortunately, he was arrested and charged with the murder of somebody that he didn't know. He didn't know the person who, I don't think they've ever caught the person, but he didn't know the person who was charged with it. He wasn't anywhere near there. And it was, unfortunately, it was in the city of Annapolis. It was during that time when Mayor Panelides was battling that one year where it had murder.
People were getting shot left and right. Yeah.
And I say left and right. I mean, there was like 11 or 12 in the year,
which is a lot. That's a lot.
Which is a lot for that Annapolis. I mean,
that's like saying if there's 2 shootings in the library, saying that's a lot of shootings. You're going, well, right. 2's not many, but for the library, that's a lot of shootings.
But wanted to talk to him and find out what his life has been like since and what his life looks like in the future. And I got to say, it doesn't look great. It's going to be tough for him. It's going to be tough for him because of the magic of the internet. You're found not guilty way back when, and okay, fine, nobody knows about it, but now it's here forever.
It's like getting pee out of the pool. You can't get your name out of there once it's in the mix.
I never thought of it that way, but let's get into it. Right after the break, we'll get into Omarion White.
Very few things in life are so precious and so irreplaceable that we all must do our part to protect them. The Chesapeake Bay is one of those things. You can do your part by contributing to the Chesapeake Bay and Endangered Species Fund. It's that little line item you'll see at the very end of your Maryland tax return. Any amount you give makes a difference, and it's tax deductible. I'm Peter Francho, Maryland Comptroller. Our bay and rivers thank you. Learn more about the Chesapeake Bay Trust at cbtrust.org.
Buying a home is a big accomplishment, and we enjoy being part of that, especially for first-timers, the excitement of being approved and knowing they were building their future in their new home. All over the county, you will find homeowners who received the funds they needed from us. I'm Alan Hyatt, chairman of Severn Bank, and I tell you nothing means more to our bank or me than helping home buyers. Last week, I drove by a house and saw kids playing in the front yard. I recall how excited their parents were when they found out that the home was going to be theirs. So if it's a home, an addition, or a renovation, see us at Severn. You'll find affordable home loans, great service, a commitment to our community, and an enthusiastic team to help you. Severn Bank, here with you.
Online at severnbank.com. Member FDIC, equal housing lender. All loans subject to credit approval. Severn Bank is a trade name used by Severn Savings Bank.
Hey, we're here at Odd Coffee in Eastport with Omarion White, who's a name that's probably not well known to everybody, but you caught my attention in a letter you wrote to the editor of the Capital newspaper last week. And you were a student at St. Mary's, St. Mary's High School here. You were a football player. Mm-hmm. And you were arrested and charged with attempted murder, or was it?
Attempted murder, yeah.
And in the end, it was the wrong guy.
Yeah.
And the ramifications that go with this are so far-reaching, and you hear the stories about it. And I'd like to talk to me. What happened when this arrest all went down? What were the circumstances? Now how old were you?
20.
Okay. And it was here in Annapolis?
Yeah. In Eastport, actually, yeah.
Okay, what happened?
It was a shooting that took place in the Eastport community, and basically, they locked me up for it. And after, they knew from the beginning that it could have not been me or something. Basically, that they said, and they were going to drop the charges, but they ended up going forward with it.
Were you there at a shooting?
No. The description of the person, I had something totally different on, and the cameras saw that, which could have been exculpatory evidence, but they ignored it.
So you weren't there. It wasn't a matter of 5 people all together and saying, "Oh yeah, I think it was him."
Yeah.
So you were arrested by Annapolis City Police.
Yeah.
Were charged with attempted murder. How long were you held for?
I was locked up for 4 months, roughly 4 months, and then I was given house arrest for 5 months until court.
And that's all as it proceeded through the court thing. And when we went to court, what happened? You've claimed your innocence all along. Nobody wanted to listen to you, I guess.
I went with the judge, and basically she, proceeded over the facts and basically was like, it's nothing here to say that he was there. It's nothing here it's nothing. Like it literally is nothing here. She basically was like not guilty, but it was, in her words, it was nothing there.
Well, did you have any run-ins with the police prior to that?
No.
Traffic or something doesn't really count. But so there was. So you weren't this bad guy running around town
Never.
that says, there's a shooting. We need to go find Omar.
Never. No.
And you were a student at St. Mary's High School. Did you go through St. Mary's? Were you 4 years at St. Mary's?
Or? Yeah. No, 2. I went transferred in my junior year from Annapolis High School.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you said this happened when you were 19? 20. What happened after St. Mary's? You graduated from St. Mary's? Yeah. And did you go on to play football at college?
Yeah, I was playing out in Utah at a junior college.
Okay.
Yeah.
Utah, that's quite a change from Maryland.
Yeah.
How did this whole impact? Now, was this during the summer? Were you off of school?
I was actually on break.
Okay.
Home. I was only home for like 12 days, 13 days maybe.
Okay.
I was on winter break, and this happened during me being home, and I never got a chance to go back.
And then, so then you were arrested, obviously didn't get back to school. And that was your, freshman year or sophomore year?
No, that was my sophomore year. I went in 15, and this happened in 2016.
Okay. And what happened with your schooling?
Basically, I had to leave school.
And you probably had to pay for it.
Yeah, I haven't been back. I lost my scholarships, stuff like that. I haven't.
That's devastating for a young kid who's got of future. I mean, I'm not suggesting that you were NFL material or anything like that, but I mean that certainly remains to be seen. But that's devastating for a kid that is going to a private school that's doing well. That's you don't have a reputation with the police. Out in Utah, which is like the home of all the Mormons and everything else. Yeah, and all of a sudden have this come down, and this was literally a rug being pulled out from under you. I mean, you were, looking to go to college. You were looking at, I don't know whether you had professional aspirations.
Yeah, I actually was nationally ranked as the number 2 corner in the country.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, my ranking still, it's still up. I had offers from Tennessee. A lot of schools, to name, 8 offers, I believe it was, at one point before this. So I had a little, and most of my teammates are in the NFL right now. So
are they really?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Well, that's, even more so disappointing. All right. So we withdraw from Utah, from school in Utah. We're stuck here in Anne Arundel County, going through the judicial system here. And was this a case of the police? Bad police. I don't want to say bad policing, but the police making a mistake and bad policing, or was this in a prosecution problem?
I believe it was a combination of both. I believe it was me, them not knowing who I was. So it can go like hand in hand. Them maybe thinking, oh, we don't know who he is, or he could be a bad person. We don't know. I don't know if they knew anything about my schooling at the time, or they basically got a name and it wasn't my name, but it was similar, close to it, and it was a lot of false information put into police reports,
right?
That I guess the prosecution believed and wanted to take to trial, but it was nothing pointing in my direction, like nothing at all.
Now, did you grow up in Annapolis?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're pretty much a lifer here at this point.
Yeah.
And who was the I say district attorney, but who was the state's attorney at the time? Was that Wes Adams, or was that
Wes Adams,
okay?
Yes.
And was this do you think it was a anxiousness to solve a case at whatever cost?
I believe it was, because it was a lot of shootings happening in the Eastport area at the time. Like it was I think 3 people got shot in like 1 week.
Okay.
During that time. So I think they were just pressured maybe by the community and maybe by
the mayor.
Yeah. So to just get anyone to solve anything, and actually the 3 shootings that happened, none of them are solved to this day. And they locked me up for one and was proven that it wasn't me, and still to this day they haven't solved anything else that happened during that week.
So we go through a trial, and this was a bench trial, I guess, with a judge, not a jury.
Yeah.
You're found not guilty, which is great, but it's just doesn't take care of the problem that you've got to face forever.
Yeah.
Pretty much. I mean, you've got this. It's in the database for court records.
Yeah.
Now, are you looking for an expungement or?
Yes, I have, but it's still on Google, like the articles that were wrote about
what we wanted
me being arrested for it and that stuff.
I agree with you, and that's really a catch-22 in that when you have a record expunged, and by definition, I believe that means that it didn't exist legally. So, I mean, you can go into anybody say, hey, have you ever been arrested for no? As opposed to, just saying no and hoping nobody checks or something. Again, with the internet, with social media, with Google and everything else, it does last forever, and this will follow you, around,
And it's at a point now. We had our first son. I was going to name him after me, and I decided not to name him after me because of that same situation. Because I didn't want him to have my name, and then he grows up and someone Googles his name, and then
That's
that
horrible.
case pops up.
That is horrible.
And that was like my biggest fear. So I actually didn't
old's
name
your
him
son?
after me. He's 1 month.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We're here with it's Ariel, right?
Yes.
We're here with Ariel, who is Marian's partner, and you look great for just having a kid from a month ago. Wow. So you made a conscious decision to not name your son, which, come on, I'm a dad, I got a boy. It's like, come on, we gotta, we gotta do that. Oh my word. I mean, one thing that I do is that with Eye on Annapolis, every now and then we'll get somebody will call me and in a situation like you, and we did not pick up on your story. I did double check that. They're telling me they've got the same type of a situation. Hey, I'm applying for. I mean, it could be a job as a dishwasher or a CPA, or it doesn't matter what it is, but and it's coming up. And there was a guy that called me up, and he was up in Arundel Mills or something. Got arrested for, I think, mugging somebody or assault. Ended up found not guilty, and called up, very polite, asked, said, "Hey, is there anything you can do?" And he says, I've been good. I'm not, oh man, I looked. I mean, it's trust but verify. And sure enough, I mean, he's got a little bit of a lead foot, and he's got, 4 or 5 speeding tickets. And, okay, we all do. And, I took it off and I went back to Google and removed it from Google and pulled that off. And it can be done, but boy, it is time consuming to be able to do. And a lot of newspapers just won't do that. That's their policy, that it was public record that there was an arrest, and that's the end of the story. This guy, called back and actually was in tears, which it just really got me. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to speak with you. In that he said, I'm fighting for this. And I said, well, I mean, everybody deserves a second chance. Yeah. I don't even want to say you deserve a second chance because you didn't blow your first one. And, you look at, there was a case up in Odenton where there was a violent child, I think, sex offender that served like 20 years in Texas, was released. So he did his time. He came up, he played by all the rules, reported where he was living, and moved into an area. And then the police went around on Halloween with pictures of him door to door saying, hey, this guy lives close by the neighborhood. Make sure your kids don't go to his house, which I thought was a little bit extreme. I mean, this is, we're based on a culture where, okay, we do a crime, we serve our sentence, whatever that may be. It may be a probation, it may be, nothing. And then you move on and you come back and you figure out how to reacclimate into society. But when you've got people fighting against you and you've got the system fighting against you, which certainly was what you had going for you or going against you in the beginning, during the trial and everything else. Did the police ever have any kind of explanation, and I don't know how this works. I mean, when they make their arrest and they just move on?
Yeah,
so they're not going to make any comment. They're not going to say that
I believe that once they make their arrest, they have to stick with it. They're not going to admit fault because it makes the department look bad. So even if the charges were to had been dropped before trial or anything, I don't believe they would have came out and stated we had the wrong guy. Even after I was found not guilty, even after the facts was presented in court, I never got I'm sorry, I'm this. And what makes it, I actually worked I was working for the city of Annapolis doing youth. I was a youth service assistant. Once I was found not guilty, I got my job back. I was working there before I got my job back.
Was that at the rec center?
Yeah, Eastport Rec Center. And I was working with the kids, helping the kids. And the police would come there a lot. And a lot of them that knew me from that incident, and they would, it's just like as if they knew that they made a mistake, but they would not admit it. And I had to be around them every day. I mean, it's no.
Okay, so were you working at the rec center prior to the arrest? So these cops, know you.
Yeah.
To a degree. I mean, I don't know that I'm necessarily known by the cops, but I would think that, you would. Hey, I know Amarian. Let's. Even if it's treat you with a little bit of kid gloves, let's dig a little bit deeper, because I don't think this is something that and that can be a private conversation that they would have amongst each other.
And it was basically a case of, I feel, mistaken identity. Like, you had the victim stating it wasn't me, then off the record you have the detective stating the victim said it was me, with no recording after, and then you have the witness stating it wasn't me, and then you have them taking him outside for a smoke break, and 45 minutes later, or 2 hours or something later, he's stating it's me for him because they offered him for him to go home. When that person admitted to being there, they allowed that person to out of jail free card and throw someone under the bus. There was no picture lineups. It was just me. They claimed he looked at my picture different, which he didn't.
Well, you would think with so many different varying stories, is that he was there, it was him, it wasn't him, that there would be, more detective work, more questioning, more we'll work. And
I never was even brought in for, I see if they brought me in for questioning first before just arresting me. They just...
Do you know the victim?
No, I'd never seen him.
Never know of him?
I don't even believe he's around. He's from the Annapolis area, and I've been here my whole life, so I just know people from Annapolis.
Yeah. No, I mean, usually somebody, there's a couple degrees of separation. So I mean, there was no connection between you at all. That's just so bizarre. And I mean, I know the Annapolis City Police, and I mean, you hold them to the fire a little bit because they've had several false arrests recently. They had one over on Edgewood Road where they were looking for I believe a Hispanic or Asian man, and they ended up arresting a black man. There was another one outside the 7-Eleven one, I think Christmas Eve a couple of years ago. There were some kids that got into a fight down on City Dock not too long ago, which was there. And I know that several years ago they went up on the apartments up on Hilltop Lane, and they, with a no-knock warrant to the wrong house, and they just came in and terrified this family that's doing it. I don't know what the answer is. I mean, hopefully with some some oversight. I know that Carl Snowden, local activist here, is trying to get an oversight board that will be able to do that, and then to really do that. I know we've got a fairly new police chief. I don't know. That was probably Mike Pristoop was the chief probably back when you were arrested. But now Scott Baker, who was the deputy, he's there. He's changing things a little bit differently. But I think it seems that the Annapolis Police Department may have a little bit more room for improvement. Probably a lot more room for improvement when it comes to something like this. What are you doing now?
I actually do sports journalism. I write for the Washington Wizards and through a parent company that's through Sports Illustrated. That's really the only thing that I have been able to do since this. Like, it's been hard, like with me going through I a lot since then, like trying to get a job, keep a job. Mentally.
Why did the Wizards take a chance on you? If that, and I don't even want to say it's a chance.
I don't believe that. Maybe they didn't Google I don't think that they know about the incident, but
I mean, you would have a tough time getting a job at Target.
Yeah, you're right.
Which is absolutely crazy. And I think that you could probably talk to your blue in the face saying that, hey, I was found not guilty, but nobody probably wants to take that chance. I mean, I get maybe if you were selling raw diamonds or something like that, there may be some kind of thing. Yeah. But, it just blows my mind that this, and this is something, and I hope that you can look to the places that have mentioned with the Google search, and contact them to see if they would be willing, to make the removal. And I could certainly send you links, and if they don't know how, on instructions how to remove it from Google as opposed to just their site, I mean, I'd be more than happy to send you that, because it is a separate step that you need to do to sort of purge it from Google. And I think there's probably always going to be something somewhere on a microfilm or a slide or something like that that'll have it. And how long have you been with the Wizards?
I've been doing this for about like 2 months.
You like it?
Yeah, it's fun. I like it. My major in college was communication, so I'm pretty good with writing. Like, that's my specialty. I've always been able to write.
Are you looking to move maybe into the NFL? I mean, obviously, as not as a player, I probably think at this point, since you haven't been playing for a while.
Yeah, I've been trying to. like I've been thinking about doing, like, I feel like this is like a career I want to do because I like to write. So anything with like sports journalism, maybe cover like local teams first and then try to, you know, keep going up and up until I can actually get a good job with doing it. It's fun. It's like this.
Do you do any freelance work?
I have, yes, I have. I 4 years ago, I was writing. I actually wrote about the Roger Taney statue that was downtown.
Right.
I wrote about the removal of that, like, when no one was talking about that. This was probably like 2 years before that.
Right.
I was doing a lot of writing and stuff like that, like, for a while.
Get a little off topic on the Roger Taney statue. I don't know what your position is on that, but I thought that removing it was on the surface wrong, because I disagree with trying to erase the good and the bad history that we have. And there was a local architect that came up with, I thought was just the most spectacular.
Yeah, I agree with that too. Having the was it Harriet Tubman statue?
With Frederick, get a statue of Frederick Douglass.
Yeah,
put him and move them on side to side with a plaque explaining the story, and equal ground, equal elevation. And I thought that was a really sort of a fantastic idea.
Yeah, that was a good idea. I don't know why they.
It got crazy with taking.
I think it was the height of like every statue was getting took down at the time.
We're coming out of Ferguson. We're coming out of we're deep into the Black Lives Matter movement, and you look at the Southern generals and everything else. And and there were some really horrible people that don't deserve to be lauded. But it was a different time and a different place. I think that it's acknowledge it but don't celebrate it. It's just a strange world that we're moving.
Yeah,
forward.
currently hypersensitive.
Where do you see yourself moving forward, Omar?
Trying to get back in school. I'm actually taking some classes online right now.
So you're still partially through your bachelor's?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I have a lot of credits still left because the break was like a 2-year break. So I haven't been able to get back in school or anything since then. So I've just been trying to get back into school, trying to find a career that I like. It's hard because I built my whole life up for football. That's everything was surrounded. Everything I did was for football. Everything I did was to make it to the NFL. That was my goal, only goal I had. So once that was taken away, it's like a restart on life because it's like you focus everything on one thing and then it's gone, and now it's like you have to restart. Now what do you do? I never thought about this part. This never came in my brain, how to maneuver in the real world. This never was something I thought about. No other career was something I thought about. It was just football. I was going to get my degree, but that was going to help me. I had to get my degree in order to play football. So
sure,
everything went hand in hand with football. So it's now it's where do you go? And it's I go through a lot, anxiety, depression, and stuff like that. But it's restart. It's everything it's not there.
Did you go to St. Mary's to play football?
Yes.
Now, is their football program that much better than Annapolis High, or is it just more opportunity?
It was an opportunity thing. That's what that's why I went and enrolled. It was basically opportunity just to do something different. That's me. I want to be better. If it's education, anything. I just want to challenge myself. That was the main thing when we were going to St. Mary's, to get a challenge.
I'm just blown away with what you've gone through, and I would be. Yeah, this is. It'd be a little bit more understanding and more comprehensible to me if you had said we were with a gang of guys and somebody shot somebody, but it wasn't me. I can sit there and say, okay, well, they made a mistake and they got it wrong. But this, you don't know the victim. You don't know. You're known to the police. You're working with kids trying to make Annapolis better. You've got your career, your life as mapped out as you possibly can at that.
Yes, and
at that point.
And I don't mean to cut you off. It's like this could have been easily resolved when I identified myself, my clothing, a picture with the clothes that I had on that day. It didn't match the description of the shooter. And that could have easily just been like, okay, this proves, if I say, okay, for example, this is not how the case went, but if I say, okay, the shooter had on a red jacket at the time, or if the victim says, I've seen the shooter with a red jacket on at 3:00, this is the person that did it. And we look at the camera and the person that you said had on red actually had on green or blue while it's other people running around in red.
Yeah.
That should prove that, okay, he doesn't match the description. If it's certain stuff that could have easily resolved it. Like, it's so much that could have resolved it. And I don't know, they just took their chance, gambled, and I don't know why, which is crazy. Like, it scared me because it's like, wow, these people really want to send me to jail. They don't care if I'm innocent or not. They just want a conviction. Like, that's all that matters to them is the conviction. And I believe the detective that was on my case actually got demoted back to a police officer. He's back, like, patrolling. And that should show you, like, what kind of case that was. Like,
do you still have family here in Annapolis?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's and it's just still blowing my mind that as you look forward to the future that it's going to do. Now, were you represented by an attorney or a public defender?
Attorney, yeah.
So you got private counsel? Okay.
Yeah.
Which is probably much to your benefit there. I mean, it probably could have gone a number of different ways with a public defender, I would think. And no problem since. Speeding tickets are.
No, I haven't been in any trouble. I feel like I've been more so since that incident. They have been harassing me a lot because I actually have a lawsuit about that for a lot of money, and they know that they have a.
Is that still pending?
Yes.
Okay.
And they know that it's a fairly big case, and they know the severity of it, and they really have been really harassing me since then. To a point where I don't even want to come here. I don't even want to be in Annapolis because it's like, for example, I was in a car with the guy recently, and they pulled us over. A detective, which I've never seen, and once I didn't even say my name. I just he was like, your name. I was just like, oh, he was like, I already knew you is. Step out the car. I'm like, what do we do? And they arrested me for open container, but it's not in my vehicle. How do I get around?
Were you driving?
No.
Yeah. Okay.
And first it's oh, you're speeding. Then second, it's, oh, he didn't turn his turn signal on. But if we didn't do that, why are you searching the vehicle? For speeding, for turn signal? Yeah. It's like, and it's to a point now where I believe they will do anything to try to discredit me in my lawsuit. Like, if it goes from planting evidence to doing whatever they can to try to make me seem like a bad person. Okay. And, because that's their only, I feel like that's their objective, to try to discredit my lawsuit.
I think you're well on your way to sort of vindication. I don't know. I mean, I think that one thing that you put in your letter to the editor of the Capitol is that you referenced the article that they had in the Capitol about you and this is something that I'm going to be implementing, is that on the bottom of each article that when somebody is arrested that we do something. It's that hey, reminder, this is a person who has not been found guilty. In this world, we're guilty, or we're innocent until proven guilty. Yeah. Screwed that one up. But we are innocent until proven guilty, and it very well may be an innocent person. We hear about these people that have been in prison for years and years and years and years, and decades later they're released because we didn't have DNA testing 30 years ago. Yeah. And I like to think that everybody makes a mistake, and I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about a police officer. Hey, I made a mistake, but at what point we have to own up to our mistakes, and we. Hey, I'm sorry, I smacked into the back of your car. That was my fault. It was my mistake, as opposed to, trying to find a scapegoat for that. I get the pressure that they need to solve the crimes. I get the pressure that nobody, myself, you know, Ariel, nobody wants to, you know, see the shootings and see any kind of crime in the city, but it unfortunately is here. And, you know, I think the police, to a degree, are between a rock and a hard place and being pressured to solve things, but then it comes at a price much, much more expensive than the cost of solving that crime when they turn around and they, you know, take 4 months of your life out of your life and then have an impact on it for literally forever to the point where you're frightened to name your own son to carry on your name. Just unbelievable. Well, I'll tell you that I thank you so much for the time coming down. I'm very impressed that you've pressed on despite, you know, what you're facing, and it looks like you got a good gig with the Wizards right now. Now see if we can get a better team, but it's who's your pick in the Super Bowl?
I would like to see Chiefs and Rams.
Because you hate the Patriots?
Yeah, I do not like the Patriots at all. Anyone? I don't care who wins, as long as it's not the Patriots.
What about the Cowboys?
I don't dislike the Cowboys.
I mean, okay. So when you were growing up here, you're kind of on the cusp because you weren't a full-on Ravens fan because they came in the middle of.
I grew up a Colts fan.
What's that?
I grew up an Indianapolis Colts fan.
Okay.
So I was with the Colts until Peyton left, and I haven't liked the NFL
Is that a throwback
team.
from when they were in Baltimore? You think?
I just grew up, like, my friends were Colts fans, like everyone around me was Colts fans.
Right.
So that's the first team I actually started to watch.
Okay.
I became a fan, but I haven't had a favorite team since.
All right. If you've gone forward in the NFL as a cornerback, where would you want to play? What team would you want to be on?
The Ravens.
Ravens?
Yeah. I like how they play defense, physical.
Okay.
Tough. That's just how I played, physical, tough. And I would like to play, for a home team.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with playing with the home team there.
Yeah,
that's
that
for
would be
sure.
fun.
That's for sure. I would like to keep in touch with you and figure out, where you go. I mean, if there's anything I can do to help you, I'd be more than happy to. I wish you, all the best in your lawsuit going forward, and I hope that, and I don't want to say that, 100,000, 100 million, whatever it is, makes it right, because it doesn't.
Right.
And this is just something that.
And it's really not even about the money, the lawsuit. It's more so about me actually, proving that. I mean, it shows I think it's an article or two about me being found not guilty, my innocence. But it's more so the lawsuit actually show okay, they did some wrong. I feel like it would, I don't know, to the public maybe, because people still view me I haven't even been back to St. Mary's since then. People don't even stay in contact with me that I was in contact with before the incident. It hindered so much. It affected relationships, friendships, so much. People that I actually, I used to stay at their homes and, be with them on a daily basis. I can't even get a hello or nothing. It's it's not just, it's really, the lawsuit really isn't about the money. It's just about because the money, like you said, the money isn't going to it's not going to help me get back to where I was.
Again, I don't want to force it all on money, but I mean, you had, the potential to earn an awful lot of money. I mean, and we can guess till the sun goes down how much that could have been.
Right.
Who knows? Who knows where that was? But I mean, we can certainly sit there and say that because of this wrong accusation, it has cost you. I mean, you're not able to make because of that, and it just makes finding everything there. And it's I'm not a big lawsuit person, but I think when somebody is wronged, I think that it's perfectly appropriate to move forward there. But God, I wish you the best of luck. This just sucks on so many different levels. I hope things turn around for you. I hope that all of a sudden the Ravens see what you're doing for the Wizards and say, hey, come on and join our team. Might not be on the field, but we'll put you up in the press box.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
And we'll do that. But Omarion White and his partner Ariel, thank you very much for coming down here. And again, I apologize for being late. I enjoyed talking to you and getting to know your story. And I hope to hear more and more that it's getting better. And I want to hear more about Omarion White.
You will.
And he couldn't give his kid his own name. That's the part that got me more than anything.
He said that, and I was just, it blew my mind. Put the macho man thing on. What's one thing that you want to do? That's your offspring. That's my boy. I want to name him after myself. And I mean, that's just something that's prevalent in our society. And here's a guy who I'm going to give a lot of credit to that foresees the future of his 1-month-old baby and is prescient enough to be able to turn around and say, I don't want to name my child after me. It's just absolutely...
Because this has affected and has ruined his life, this accusation. Remember the first person that this really happened to on a large scale is Richard Jewell. Remember him?
Yep.
He was a security
Atlanta
guard.
bomber.
The Atlanta bomber. He was a security guard in Atlanta, and I think it was 1994 during the Summer Olympics that he found a bag, and inside was a bomb. And he was a hero, and he saved potentially a lot of lives. And then the press starts saying, well, what if he planted this himself? And he was accused of doing it for the attention. And it turned out he didn't do it for the attention. His life was ruined. And that was before the internet. That was before your name stuck with everything. His life was destroyed, and he didn't do anything but the right thing. And you think that Omarion, with the internet as it is right now, that he's always going to be branded with this no matter what.
Well, we talked a little bit after we stopped recording on this. And I mean, I have done it several times when people will call me about an article that we have on Annapolis that, hey, this has been adjudicated and I've been found either not guilty or just even somebody says, hey, this was 10 years ago and I've gotten my shit together. Would you be willing to take it down? And I do the trust but verify. I go and look. I will take something down. I think everybody's entitled to a second chance. And I take this step further rather than just taking it off of my site is I'll go to Google and I'll go into Google Webmaster Tools and have it removed from Google. But that's only my mentions of it. It's not anybody else's.
Right. And you're talking about right now that if someone calls and say, hey, look, I've gotten my life together. I want a second chance. This is a guy that didn't do anything.
Right.
And that's so frustrating. And one thing we glossed over, or that he didn't talk that much, he said, yeah, I was in jail for 4 months and then house arrest for 5 months. I'm like, and then he talked about the case itself. And I had to wrap my mind around that. Being in jail, that you're minding your own business and all of a sudden the police show up and you're wearing handcuffs and you're going, what the hell is going on? And your mind is racing. And then all of a sudden you're in a police car and all of a sudden you're being checked into Jennifer Road. And you're like, just wrapping your mind around going, what the hell? I'm wearing a jumpsuit. I didn't do anything. That's got to be scary. And for 4 months, I couldn't imagine going from just a regular life, just doing my everyday stuff. And all of a sudden, like an hour later, I'm in a jail cell awaiting trial for attempted murder.
It's mind blowing. It's truly mind blowing.
And every day knowing that you're innocent, just sitting there going, it's a living nightmare going, when is someone going to figure this out that I didn't do anything?
And the thing that's really very frustrating, especially to me, is that he was known to the police in a not, quote, known to the police way. I mean, it's not like you're a bad guy roaming around town and go, oh, yeah, we know Tim.
Right.
He's been drinking Miller Lite. It's not like that. Here's the guy that was working with kids in Eastport Terrace, in the public housing complexes of Annapolis. Here's a kid that is going to St. Mary's High School, a football player. Here's, a kid that's never had any problem. Now, again, I couldn't see if there was any juvenile stuff, but here's a guy that has not had any problem with law enforcement. And all of a sudden, boom, murder one. That just seems crazy, especially if the cops know him personally, that it was work with the students, with the kids in public housing and whatnot. I mean, you would think saying, gosh, that doesn't sound like him. We need to dig a little bit deeper. And it doesn't seem that they did that this time.
Thinking back with the Baltimore riots a few years ago and with Freddie Gray, and I remember the apologists for the police at that point where they said, well, he didn't do anything, but I mean, look at his record. He wasn't innocent, babe in the woods.
No, he wasn't a choir boy.
But there was that really bothered me. That bothered me that there was a justification going, all right, well, he didn't do this, but he's not a member of society that is upstanding. So whatever happens to him, he kind of deserves it. Even if you took that dark and nihilistic view of human nature, to justify something going wrong like that. But looking, Omarion, he didn't have any of that. He wasn't a bad guy by all accounts.
No.
He was, a high school student and at the premier high school in Annapolis, the number 2 cornerback in the country. It just, at some point you got to add it all up and say, is this really our guy? And, the police are under a lot of pressure, because they were under a lot of pressure at the time because there were a lot of shootings and the city officials, they had to take action to show that they were taking action. So maybe it was overzealous. Maybe they didn't do the due diligence. And, maybe there's someone listening now going, hey, you're not a cop. What do you know about what went on and what they didn't do? Which is a fair point. But I remember in high school, I went to Good Counsel High School when I was in Wheaton. And our principal there was Michael McDonald, not the Doobie Brother.
Okay.
So, which would have been awesome. A month before graduation, I get pulled into the principal's office along with my cousin, who was a couple years younger. He went to the school too, obviously. And this was in the late 80s. And this is when the crack epidemic was huge. Crack was going to sneak into your house and kill your family. And they said they'd gotten an anonymous call from somebody who said that my cousin and I sold some kid crack and that he had OD'd and he was in the hospital and they brought him back, but he's clinging to life. And so the principal, who's a nice guy, until then. I mean, he got charged with embezzlement later, so screw him. But we're sitting there and I'm just a scrawny 18-year-old, 17-year-old who's about to graduate in a month. And I'm sitting in the principal's office and they're saying, look, we're going to call the cops and, you could be going to jail and you tell us what you know. And I remember my stomach dropping out where I'm like, what the hell is going on? I didn't do anything. The worst I did was smoke at that point. Now, so I'm like, I have cigarettes. Do you want those? I'm sorry for that. Can I go back to my class now? And my cousin there, he's looking at me like, what the hell's going on? And we sat there all day being grilled. Turns out they called, all the hospitals in the area. No one had been admitted. It was an anonymous call. To this day, we don't know why anyone called. I've never given money to my high school, which is Good Counsel, because of that. No one ever apologized.
So the guy dying over an overdose didn't exist?
Nothing existed. Nothing. It was just an anonymous call. Someone screwing with us for some reason. And they're like, okay, you can go now. And no one apologized. That was one afternoon of terror on my part. And then I went back to my life the next day. I couldn't imagine what would happen if someone came in and they slapped cuffs on me and put me in jail for 4 months. And then my name was everywhere, so I couldn't get a job. I couldn't get into a decent college. That my life was ruined all because I sat in the principal's office for an afternoon. This is where he is. His life is ruined by this.
He really is. And I mean, I give credit to the Wizards for picking him up.
Yeah, and if you're out there and you're a newspaper or you're some sort of journalistic organization, give the kid a chance.
And it's not within the will of the police department to make apologies.
No, and that wouldn't help anyway.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not speaking for Marion. I mean, I can't tell him, but I mean, from a practical standpoint, and things happen. If you look at all the arrests that the police made in the last, 5 years, the vast majority of them were legitimate and they protect the populace and that's their job. And they did a great job. You're always going to have something like this that perhaps happens, but that's of little comfort to the person to whom it happens.
That's true. They go home, they sleep at night.
Yeah.
And he goes home and worries about what he's going to name his baby.
It sucks to be a statistic, that's going, the 99% of the time the system works. And it sucks if you're that 1%.
And really, I wish there was some way that we could do that to correct that. Whether it be a statement, whether a newspaper would be able to say, okay, we found Omarion White not guilty from the court, from, a statement that a newspaper would then be able to withdraw that. I mean, I get that the news was that this is who they arrested, but I mean, most people see that there's an arrest, you're guilty.
But even then, if you have, let's say that you put out an article that, someone was found not guilty or someone that it was, or they weren't even indicted, there wasn't enough evidence. There's still all those other articles that are out there.
Well, what I'm suggesting is that there, with some sort of a official document that the newspaper, that the website, whatever it may be, would be almost mandated to submit a retraction from the search engines on that. It's not going to stop a screenshot. It's not going to stop anybody's memory, but it certainly, could help him down the line or his son.
The big debate right now, and I've heard this in the last couple of years with the Trump administration and the shutdown and the left and the right. And I think the media has been at the center of this as kind of a whipping boy for the entire division we have in the country. So they're accused of bias either way. And one of the things I've heard both on the left and the right is whenever a story is blown up by the media and it turns out to be nothing or incorrect, that the retraction that follows that is much smaller than the story itself. And you see this on Twitter. People are pointing that out later saying tweets on this story when it was incorrect, 66,000 tweets on the correction. 500.
Well, we're seeing that currently as we speak right now with those teens that accosted I just did it right there, but the altercation between the American Indian and the teens at the Lincoln Memorial last weekend. We're seeing that right now. The media initially portrayed that as the teens from Covington High School in Kentucky being the aggressors, and it doesn't seem to be that way.
But that's still not.
It's you're right though. But I mean, there should be. I think there should be something there. But
that kid. Let's look at it this way too. So that kid. And by the way, I mean, I followed all pretty closely, not getting into it itself. I still think that the original reporting was relatively accurate. I think there were some details that were left out, but still, I think that kid was a shit. But that kid, let's say that he did something stupid. I mean, he didn't hit anyone. He didn't do anything that was overtly, detestable. You're right. So he's being a shitty kid. I think worst case scenario, he was just being a shitty, smug, entitled private school kid. Should your life be ruined because of that? Because he was doxxed, and I got a problem with that. He's what, 17? And sure, he's smarmy and smug and all that stuff. But I look back at myself at 17, and I was a shit too on some level for some reason.
You're a shit at 47.
Yeah, but I wouldn't want my life to be defined by that moment. So if you look at these kids that, their lives are on social media, they're defined by that, whether they want to or not. So, I mean, his father, of course, hired a PR firm, as every kid's father does.
Right, but they hired the lawyer. And I get it.
But that said, like I said, I have to keep emphasizing, I think he's a shitty human being at 17 at that moment. Maybe he's a nice kid outside that moment. Maybe he got caught up in it. I looked at all the kids around him dancing, and I saw the kids that I grew up with just being stupid. And should they all be defined by that moment? And that was something relatively innocuous, let alone being falsely accused of committing attempted murder.
True. Well, I mean, I think also that we're going to forget about this kid in 6 weeks from now. We forgot about the kid that I know we talked a whole bunch of them about R&R, like the guy, the drug guy that was jacking the prices of the AIDS drug up. We forget that, because our memory is the news cycle.
Oh, the news cycle is insane right now.
But the problem is that, not so much for them. I mean, am I going to remember the name of this kid at the Lincoln Memorial, 20 years from now? No, I'm not. But you know what? If that kid goes to apply for a job in 20 years.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember that. And that's the whole problem with them.
And you don't have the context either. Right. You have someone who's hiring or someone who's in the recruiting, and they're going to look at this and go, nope. And they're not going to say, oh, well, here are the other details that we didn't know about. Here's the reason
we went with a different candidate.
And I have to emphasize, he was a shit. But still, that's
absolutely. Well, I wish, Omarion the best of luck. I hope, if I sent him the link on how to remove stuff from Google, and I suggested that he, Google himself and contact everybody and see what you could do as far as getting it, getting it cleaned up.
That's such a hassle. That's like
it is. But if you've got a attempted first degree murder arrest hanging over your head, that's a hassle, and that's a fight worth fighting, I think. I don't know what the status is of a lawsuit with the city.
You know what, though? I was thinking about this on the ride over. It was a couple of years ago. Someone took out our credit cards in my name and my wife's name at Best Buy.
Thank you.
Yeah, Best Buy and JCPenney. There's like 5 or 6 of them, and I caught it just in time, shut everything down. But then it was literally 100 hours working with the various companies, to clear the debts, and I had to find. It was 100 hours for me to fix their mistake. That just really bothered me, that I felt like, I had to call around, I had to follow up, I had to do all these things. I'm thinking, you screwed up. You should be the ones who are working on all this. And everyone was very nice, but I really resented the fact that the onus was on me. I feel like every state should have some sort of department whose job is to do that, is that if you are found not guilty of something, or if you are found, falsely accused, or your name is out there should be some division that helps you to clear your name. Like, what do I do now to clear? Why is the onus on him when he didn't do anything?
Or furthering my idea, that it could be a department in the courts that once there is a not guilty, that their job is to contact all of them and say, hey, I've got a court order for you to remove this.
Right. Yeah. Now I'm getting, as we say that out loud, I watched you saying this. My First Amendment sense is tingling. And I don't know. It's all right. This is not easy as I thought it was.
Well, what do we got coming up next week?
Well, I'm going to meet with Lee Hurt, and we're going to do some restaurant-y things, and we're going to do some chef things.
Just before the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
Because it's the Super Bowl.
Chef things.
Yeah, no, that's kind of interesting. They've been doing it, I think, 13 years, where the Heritage Baptist Church up on Forest Drive has chefs come in and they have soup for the bowls and on Super Bowl Sunday, and it's a fundraiser for the Lighthouse, which certainly needs any kind of funds to raise.
They did such great work
anyway.
there. They're amazing. You ever did a tour of their facility? Mm-hmm. It's amazing.
Yeah, we go there every Christmas morning.
Yeah, you do. Yep. I saw you posted on Facebook. I thought, I'm going to do that with my kids. I think they could use a little bit of that, to be honest with you. Teenagers.
It's funny. My kids are 21, 24, and 26 now. And they actually asked to get up early on Christmas morning to do that, which I think is kind of cool.
Yeah. I want to get my kids to that point. Right now, they're a little self-involved.
Kind of cool. Well, beyond that, we've got I've got a little bit of a doctor talk about the flu season that's here amongst us now and how to keep yourself healthy out of the flu. And beyond that, I have no idea.
We have a wish list.
What's on your list?
All right, hold on. So this is a list that I make and some people I've actually contacted and have not heard back from. I'm looking at you, Michael Steele. I'd like to get Michael Steele.
Okay. He
was the former head of the RNC. Former lieutenant governor, and he's actually a really smart guy. He's like, he's kind of your Republican classic, like I like to say, just kind of not off the rails. Elijah Cummings. I'd like to get Kevin Spacey on. I bet he still lives in the area. I bet he's lurking. I heard he's just a really mean person in an interview, which would be actually pretty fun. So Kevin, if you're listening, which you're not, Pat Sajak. Yeah, he's a local guy. Now I've tried John Waters a bunch of times, the director.
Right.
And his assistant keeps saying, not yet. He's traveling Europe. But John Waters would be fun. He lives up in Baltimore. Right. He's the director. He did The Serial Mom and Cry Baby and a bunch of other...
Pink Flamingos.
Yeah, Pink Flamingos, a bunch of other Baltimore-based movies. Mike Rowe. He's a local guy. Dirty Jobs. And I have Cal Ripken. And Cal Ripken would be great because I think he lives on my peninsula. And he'd be great because I don't care for baseball. I don't like baseball. I don't follow baseball. So I would not be a fanboy.
We should probably go
I didn't know what position he played.
We should probably go put lawn chairs in his driveway and refuse to move until he talks to us.
Well, that's a long driveway too. He wouldn't even see us from where he is. And I had Linda Carter. Linda Carter lives in Potomac.
Wonder Woman?
Martin O'Malley. He kind of, I don't know. He might. He's got, what else is he doing?
He's not running for president.
Yeah, so why not? Martin, come on down.
Maybe he's got a band gig coming up.
Yeah, Ed Norris.
Okay.
Yeah, I like Ed Norris. Michael Phelps. And again, I'm not a swimming fan either, so it wouldn't be like I'm like hovering over him. Yeah, we can just talk about, what else would we talk about?
My list is a little bit more attainable.
Wait, no, hold on. Oh, Josh Legum. I'd love to get him on.
Judd Legum.
Judd. Did I say Judd? Oh, wait, hold on. Let me type that. Judd. He's kind of a gadfly on Twitter now. He ran for delegate.
Delegate here in District 30.
Yeah, smart guy. Hasim Rahman.
Who?
Hasim Rahman. He was the heavyweight champion in the world for about a month. He beat Lennox Lewis. He was from Baltimore. Okay. Knocked Lennox Lewis out because Lennox Lewis wasn't taking it seriously. He was a real sweet guy. And then Lennox Lewis came back and cleaned his clock.
Okay.
But he was a sweet guy. I liked him. He's all about his mom. I'm ever. So you know how I feel about that. And then, I have a couple on there. How about you?
My list is not nearly as long, but it's a lot more attainable, I think. I think I'd like to talk to Coach Ken Niumatalolo from Navy.
Yeah.
Not so much about football.
Was he heavyweight champion of the world?
No, but he was went to University of Hawaii.
Oh. That's about the same.
Just sort of find out what it's all about, what the coaching job is all about for the Naval Academy. Not so much specifics on the football, but just coaching in general. And his counterpart, Chet Gladchuk, who's director of athletics, I would love to find out. They make an awful lot of money. the athletic director of a university, how that all works out there.
Well, maybe I should do that.
I'd like to talk to Governor Hogan again. We had him in here.
I cannot repeat this stream.
Well, that was kind of interesting.
Yeah.
That's
thank you.
My Echo Dot talking to me out of nowhere.
Yeah, totally recording you. That's not creepy at all.
But I would like to have Governor Hogan again. I mean, we spoke with him in his office.
A lot of buzz about a presidential run.
We'll see. Well, and speaking of buzzing about runs, I would like to talk to Kelly Schultz, who is the Commerce Secretary for the state of Maryland, because she's rumored to be a potential Republican candidate for governor to succeed Hogan, which I don't see a governor, or I should say a governor. I don't see a governor succeeding Hogan. I don't see a Republican succeeding Hogan.
I don't know. I think his pro-business approach, and he's Republican classic. He's very, very moderate. Matter of fact, I see a lot of the comments of Republicans on Facebook, on the Capital Gazette Facebook page, that they're kind of attacking him for not being conservative enough or right enough.
Right.
You can't please anybody.
Right. And then I'd like to talk to Boyd Rutherford again. I would, just see what his plans are. I mean, we've heard that he's not interested in running. And
such a great
I think
name.
the man to watch, though, actually for governor next time around will be Peter Franchot.
Yeah. Well, but, we've been saying that for years. It seems like he's been positioning that for years.
He's waiting for the right time, which it is. I mean, he's
a patient man.
He's very centrist. I mean, he's not afraid to take on the House of Delegates or the state Senate. There may be some changes there between Speaker Bush and Senate President Mike Miller.
Yeah.
There's a Democrat that would have, in a Democratic state, probably get a lot of Republican votes as well.
Yeah, he's pretty well liked.
I mean, he's gained most votes than anybody statewide, and he's still young enough to do it.
And he listens to us too.
Yeah.
He told us he drives around the state and he listens to our podcast. Matter of fact, he called us.
He just says that.
No, he called us he wanted to be on.
But that's sort of my short list there real quick that I want to start to work on a little bit. Of course, Stuart Pittman, I want to keep checking back with him throughout his thing, as we have done with him, and also Mayor Buckley.
And we still do the crab cakes. We're kind of cranking those out. I did one with Tom Papa last week, who's a huge comic. I'm a huge fan, so I was very excited to talk
He's coming to Ramshead in a week or so.
Ramshead, he'll be there on Saturday. He's doing 2 shows. He's got a 5 and an 8, but I bet you the 8 was sold out, so they added the 5. And when I interviewed him a few days ago, the 5 was filling up really quick. And this isn't one of those things where I got to spur ticket sales, because A, we're not paid to do that, and B, because he actually is he's a top shelf comic. So when I saw it was filling up pretty quickly. So I'll bet you it's sold out by the time you hear this. But if not, that'd be an incredible opportunity to see him. But we had a lot of fun talking to him. So we're still sprinkling those crab cakes in there.
Could be. And the other thing I'm doing is on Eye on Annapolis on the Daily News Brief, I'm going to start a sort of a legacy business series, just sort of little crab cakey things for Eye on Annapolis Daily News Brief, just talking about legacy businesses that have been in town in business for about 20 years and longer.
Yeah, that's cool.
Just how they started, where they're going, where they are now, what were the struggles to deal with the city, and move on from there and see how it goes.
So you're not going to miss that. So you want to subscribe to the Daily Briefing. So just go into your Alexa skill and activate the skill for your Alexa.
She's listening.
Here are 3 of the most popular skills. First is question of the day. Daily trivia. Every day, question of the day poses a new challenging question for you.
She's nice.
Shut up, wench.
But you're also going to want to go on to wherever you get your podcasts. So that's Google Play or Apple Podcasts. And you want to subscribe to the Annapolis Daily Briefing, or maybe subscribe to ours too, since you're listening to it right now. And you want to have a rating and a review, because all those things help us with the algorithms.
And tell your friends.
Yeah.
And neighbors.
Yeah. Hey, we're not going to hit it out of the park every time, but we're pretty consistent.
Got any questions? Send them to us. Email info@themarylandcrabs.com. You can tweet at us at MD Crabs Podcast. You can
Facebook. We have friends group.
Us, yeah.
Yeah. We have a page and we have a group. Join both those.
Have you got any suggestions on guests? Bring them on. You've heard our wish list. Let's hear yours.
Yeah. And we have a phone number too, but we don't know it offhand.
Don't remember what it is.
It's in the notes. Look,
I think it's 4. Let me try 443-266-3600. Let me see if I know that yet. Now I'm going to open up my phone and see if I can figure out what it is.
This makes for compelling podcast.
I'm pushing the buttons, and the number is 443-266-3600.
Right, so you can just call and leave a voicemail for us. It can be obscene.
Or you can send a text. Oh, we prefer the obscene ones.
Yeah. Well, You were thinking obscene kind of sexy, but we're getting the other obscene kind.
Oh well. Then don't leave those. All right, that'll do it for this week.
Yep, see you next week.
This has been the Maryland Crabs Podcast with Tim Hamilton and John Fernay. Sure to follow them at all the regular places, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and online at themarylandcrabs.com. Take a moment to rate us on iTunes. Now, get the hell out of my kitchen. Seriously, go!
You're still here? It's over. Go home. Go.